Thank you everybody for coming today. As announced today, the club will formally begin the search for its next CEO after Trevor decided he would not seek to extend his tenure beyond October 2024. Before handing to Trevor, I'd like to spend a few moments reflecting on his incredible contribution to our football club. Trevor has served the club for 34 years, 25 as the CEO and 9 as the General Manager of football. During that time, the club has enjoyed great on-field success. It has played in 24 final series, 7 grand finals and won 4 premierships. That in itself is a great record, but perhaps Trevor has had an even greater impact off-field. In the early days, he saw the build of new premises under the Eastern Stand at Subiaco Oval and negotiated the arrangements for the use of Subiaco Oval, both of which enabled the club to grow and prosper. Some 20 years later, he has been the driving force behind the construction of these new premises at Mineral Resources Park. He has overseen the financial success of the club, enabling it to be financially secure, and at the same time to contribute some $70 million in royalties to the West Australian Football Commission and another $80 million towards football development in this state. In 2005, along with David Wurapunda, Trevor and the club established the Wurapunda Foundation, now known as the Wallich Foundation. The Wallich Foundation has grown over the years to now employ over 130 staff, providing a wide range of programs and services to Aboriginal people across the state, including recruitment services and a business hub for new start-up businesses. Trevor would be the first to acknowledge the contribution the staff of the Wallich Foundation have made to the success of the foundation. But Trevor has been an integral part of the journey of that foundation from its very commencement, and it's an achievement he can be well and truly proud of. The club membership base has also grown over time and has exceeded 100,000 members for the 4th year in succession. And the club also boasts a community department consisting of 23 full-time employees who run a range of football and health programs directed to young people across the state. In recent years, he has championed the introduction of our team into the AFLW. Trevor has also been a great advocate for WA football amongst the AFL establishment, continually striving to enlighten the AFL about the challenges of playing in the AFL from Western Australia. Within the club, he has created a culture of excellence where the focus is on the stability and welfare of the staff. It is a heady list of achievements, and there'll be time in months to come or next year to pay a much longer and greater tribute to Trevor. When he does leave, he will leave many legacies, but he'll certainly leave a very strong club, which is well positioned to meet the challenges of the future. Over to Trevor.
Oh, thanks, Paul. Was that all there was? Look, I'd like to say a couple of things if I could. Firstly, football's been absolutely brilliant for me, and the football club's been wonderful over the journey, and I've just been really lucky to be in this position to be able to contribute in some small way, and what an honour it's been to lead the footy club and the people who work here and have contributed over such a period of time. We're still such a fledgling club, being 37 years old, and it sounds like a long time, but it's not in AFL terms, and to do what we've done and achieved has been wonderful. But I hope I've contributed to football just as much as I tried to when I realised I wasn't a good enough player to continue playing. So it was a matter of, well, do I coach or do I get into admin or do something else, because I love the game. And I think if you love the game and you're fortunate enough to stay involved with it, it does give you that sense of belonging, that sense of teammanship, that sense of teamwork and cooperation that some people just don't get a chance to experience, and I've experienced a lot. I'm going to have an opportunity over the next 12 months to not only transition a new CEO into the position, but also to thank staff and thank our members and supporters for the journey and what they've been on in this part, but also to, I guess, assist our team to get to a stage where we're transitioning our team and we're rebuilding our team to the point where we're winning games of footy. And I guess you can't lose sight of that. That's a very important part of what we do. And the product that we put out on the field is going to be critical for us. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to giving the next CEO the opportunity to continue that rebuild and have success in the future, which our members and supporters demand. But yeah, it's a strange time, and it feels a bit strange sitting here, but it's certainly a wonderful opportunity for someone to come in with fresh eyes, have a look at the place, work with the wonderful staff we have here, and project us forward. And that's what we'll be trying to do over the next 12 months. I guess I'll just open it to questions.
How did you come to the decision to not pursue another contract?
Well, it's been 3 or 4 months in the making. We sat down as a board, and certainly it's been in the back of my mind for a while. And once Paul and I had so many discussions about it over the last 3 or 4 months, and then the decision was pretty easy in the end. I mean, we need time to look for someone. If we waited till next year, a lot of the people are already in positions that we'd like to talk to. And I guess the board, when they're setting this up, they need time to gather their thoughts. So yeah, it's taken 3 or 4 months to get to this point.
You personally, how do you come to that decision? Because I can imagine it wouldn't have come easy to you after so long being here in the game to say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. How do you get to that point?
Well, I guess as you get older, you're probably thinking, well, what's next? I've been here a long time. And it's quite unusual, as you know, for someone to be in these roles for such a long period. And I guess you come to a point where you say, well, it is time. And that took a little bit of convincing in my own mind, but certainly I got to the point where it is time.
In terms of everything you've learned along this journey, is there one thing that you think this is the most important lesson out of footy and out of the last 35 years of being in the club? What's the one thing you've advised to maybe the next CEO coming in?
Well, they have to be fairly resilient because the ups and downs in footy are just massive. Any elite sport is. I mean, there's a lot of low points that you have to deal with, but there's more highs in our football club. I've been really lucky. I mean, our club has experienced a few lows, and we're in a low point at the moment. But if our members come on this journey with us, they'll start to experience the high points pretty soon. And it takes a lot of work to get there, and then we've still got a massive amount of work to do, and I think everyone accepts that. But I'd say you need to be very resilient if you're going to be the CEO of an AFL football club.
Just to clarify as well, to clear it up, this was your call, this is not a board didn't push you out, this is your decision to not pursue a contract?
Absolutely. The timing for me is that we do need to start to look for someone. I certainly was not going to renew my contract at the end of next year, and the board thought it was the appropriate time, and that's why we've started now.
Trevor, the process, if you appoint someone and part of that appointment, are you happy to finish up early, or are you going to see out the remainder of this contract?
Although it'll depend on what the board think at the time. I've committed to the transition, and I'm certainly committed to my staff to make sure that everyone's in place, everyone's comfortable what they're doing, and we'll work through that with the next CEO. But no, I'll be working until the board say that's time.
You spoke about the future. You've probably given it a little bit of thought. I know you still got that sort of 12-month period, but are you interested in staying in the AFL after, or what's that look like for you?
Well, I don't really know yet. Look, I still have a lot of energy, and I'd like to do something, so I won't be going into full retirement. But certainly from my point of view, I think I'd like to have some time away from footy for a little while, I think. But you don't know until that time comes, and certainly that's a fair way off yet.
Looking back at your sort of career in administration, what are you most proud of? It's a long list of accolades, but what do you like?
I think most people say this, but I think the people you meet in the game most have an ability to want to achieve, and that I think is probably one of the best things that you can do when you're in a team environment. You see people grow, you see people achieve things that they probably didn't think they'd be able to. That's not just players, that's staff as well, and they get better at their job. And then you see them go off and work in the commercial world, and they do wonderful things. Our players have done that, our staff have done that, and the staff we have here today are super motivated, and they want to help us progress, but help themselves progress, and that's what we're about. So I'd say the engagement with the people. All the stuff on field, they're all wonderful things. They're the end result of all the hard work that everybody does.
And just you also spoke about the person that you'd like to appoint, and maybe those people have already sort of been snapped up, and that's why you wanted to get it started early. Are you looking within the AFL to try and get someone to come through, or will you be looking externally as well?
We'll certainly look within the AFL system itself, but we'll look externally as well, and within the club. So I don't think we would cross out any possibilities.
Well, on that, does the next CEO have to have football experience as well as the business side of it too, or is it can you learn the football side in your opinion?
I think you will need some football experience.
Niz, what about the best moment, the actual best moment of this amazing career? You've got such a love for the club. Was it 92 hugging Malthouse after the siren, or can you pinpoint? I mean, there's been 4 premierships, of course, and they're all special, but was there one moment that sort of go, wow, that was pretty amazing?
Yeah, well, I think probably 92 when we won, and we're the first non-Victorian side to win, probably is right up there. It has to be. And the wonderful players that achieve that, it's just quite remarkable to see what we've been able to do. And I think when Michael Malthouse first got here, he just didn't think it was possible to win a premiership from Perth after travelling in the first year. So I think that was a remarkable achievement, and we've achieved it 3 more times since. And again, they're all remarkable achievements from not just the players who played, but the squads that we put together, the people who work behind the scenes. It's a massive organisation now. From when I started, we had 14 staff members, and now we've got 140. It's massive. Plus the foundation, plus 3 teams. It's just remarkable.
And how tough is it for you personally to step away at this time? I mean, normally you go out on top. This is a tough time for the club. From what I know about you, you want to be here, fight back. How tough does it have to say, you know what, I'll put it aside and give someone else a crack at it?
Well, it's not really tough. I think this is, it sounds a bit strange and a bit corny, I guess, but this is a good time for a CEO to come in, a new CEO, because we've done a couple of really tough years, and we believe in the process we're going through at the moment. Someone could come in next year and have a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and it's an old cliche that I guess the only way is up for us. We're looking at building a brand new football team, and we started it a couple of years ago. We're going to go through this process, and it's been really tough, but I think a new CEO coming in, it'll give them a great opportunity to be part of a successful football team again, but also part of a successful club.
How important is it to have fresh eyes when you're transitioning from where you want to now?
I'm not sure it needs to be super fresh. I think it needs to be someone else, because everyone works differently. It doesn't matter whether they're an internal candidate or an external candidate. Everyone will have a different view. I've always said to my staff, if we get it right, it's my idea. If we don't get it right, it's theirs. I mean, everyone has a different view on things, and it wouldn't matter who comes into this role. They'll have a different way of doing things. Different personalities often shape organisations, and I think that's what's going to happen.
How do you strike the balance between fresh eyes and experience?
Look, I think Paul answered. I think if we get someone with football experience, that'll be great. But we also need someone who understands they're coming into a pretty big footy club, that they're going to have to be resilient.
Trevor, congratulations. Did you give any thought to leaving immediately?
No, I didn't. And the reason is we've got a lot to do yet. We've just started a process, and I certainly didn't want to walk out the door, and that was never the intention of the board or myself. So as we discuss things, we think this is the right process, and hopefully we'll get through this as quickly as we can so that we can transition someone into this role.
You speak of the highs of the premierships, but how many lows there are in football as well, and you've graciously brought the club through some pretty tough times off the field, and Cousins era, Willie Rioli more recently. What are you most proud of off the field in a tough sense that you've been able to lead the club through?
Well, I think they're two of the things. I mean, they're awful things to have to deal with, and some of our staff, along with me, have had to deal with those things on a weekly, monthly, and sometimes yearly basis. And they're things you carry around with you for a period of time until you finally get a result, and then you can move forward and start to do some new things. And we've done that, and sometimes we've made mistakes that we've had to go back to square one. I think, after the 07, I think we pared it back. We finished last in 2010 and rebuilt the team again, and our results showed after that. So every club goes through tough periods, and every elite sporting club goes through tough periods. It's how you handle it, whether you can be resilient enough to get through it, and how you fix things. And we've been able to do that, and I'm very proud of the things we've been able to bounce back from. And we're going through that period with our team at the moment, and we'll bounce back from it. And we need, as I said before, to take our fans and our members and supporters along the journey with us.
How quickly do you hope that off-field transition
Well, it'll take as long as it takes. We are going back to the draft. We've been committed to that, and our young players that we've drafted in and got in, they've already bought in. So we need to keep that process going, and that's an important thing that we need to stick to.
Trevor, you're obviously very hands-on, and you have been for a long time. How much of the day-to-day stuff will you still be doing as this period goes on, in terms of working with the list management guys and working contracts and all this stuff? Are you still going to be involved in all of that as you transition, or will you hand some of that to other people?
No, I think I'll still be pretty much fully engaged with the footy club. I don't see that changing. It's going to be pretty hard to change after this period of time, but I'll be pretty much engaged with everything. And when we get our new CEO, hopefully I can get him or her engaged with everything as well.
Paul, could we just ask on the new candidate, have you spoken to anybody yet? Have you engaged any firms to start looking for you? What has the process been, or is this...
We have engaged Lloyd Smith at Jared Daniels. We haven't spoken to anybody yet.
How long do you anticipate the process to take? Do you have an ideal time frame?
No, not really, because when these processes can take a short period of time, or they can take a long period of time, it can depend very much on what sort of notice period a successful candidate has to give. So it might take several months to come up with a successful candidate. If that person needs to give 3 or 6 months' notice, then it becomes a longer process than it otherwise would be. But that's part of the reason we're starting now. We think this is the sweet spot in terms of timing to start the process, and it gives us plenty of time before Trevor's due to depart.
In the off chance that a successor can't start until after October next year, will Trevor remain in the position and then oversee a transition post-October?
That's a possibility, not one I've actually considered, because I'd be very surprised if it took that long.
You'd need a handover, Paul, though, wouldn't you? You'd need probably 3 months of a handover at least.
Well, certainly we'll want a transition period. When the new CEO is appointed and starts, that person will be the CEO. But Trevor certainly has agreed that he is happy to stay on to help with the transition for however long that takes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the same firm that recommended Nizzy 25 years ago that you've engaged, is it not?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And that, if the process was as rigorous as it was for me, good luck. It's a long process.
So going back to those days, what have they put you through?
Well, it's 3 or 4 hour-long interviews and presentations 3 or 4 times, and it was a difficult process. I assume they may have streamlined it after 25 years, but certainly it's a rigorous process, and I'm sure they'll do a very good job.
It's like choosing between your kids, though, Niz, but did you have a favourite player or a couple of players you mentioned? I mean, there's one guy next to me here. I know Kempy was very close to your heart, the early boys and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's way too hard to do that. I mean, the hard thing when you work with so many great players and terrific people, they're all like your kids, Initially, they're like friends when you first start. Now I'm like granddad. So it's a difficult time because you do fall in love with your players. They're terrific people, but so have the staff been. I mean, they're just great, and we're very fortunate here.
Trevor, with the call for Adam Simpson to go on and yourself in this transition period, does the accountability fall for the last few years somewhere else?
I think the thing that's really important for people to look at is the conditions and the circumstances that we were dealing with over the last 2 years in particular. They've just been extraordinary, and I think some people, if you just go and win-loss, yes, it's been a disaster. But if you look at the circumstances like we have to, internally and externally, we have to look at the circumstances of everything. And it's been unbelievable to have so many players unavailable for such a long period of time for 2 seasons. So we've had to address that. We've done what we have to do, and yes, we'll take it on the chin, but we need to move forward now, and we're not looking back. We're going forward, and that's why part of today is about. We need to look forward.
How hard will it be to hand over the reins?
Probably difficult, I'd say. I haven't done that yet, so we'll wait and see. But it will be difficult because I've been here for such a long time and had hands over a lot of the stuff that's happened. But I think we've achieved a lot, but there's a lot more to do. I think it's like when you're at the top of the ladder, you just want to win another one. And when you're at the bottom of the ladder, you want to get better really quickly. And they're similar circumstances because nobody likes losing. And when you win the premiership, you want to win the next one. And it's the challenges in elite football are magnificent. So letting go of all of that and the challenges doesn't excite me too much, but it is what it is. So. But I am looking forward to watching this team grow, and I'll be looking forward to watching it, when I'm in the stands with everybody else. It'll be fun.
And if you do take a short break away from the game, what do you see yourself doing a bit more of with your spare time?
Nothing. No, I'd like to relax for a while, maybe a couple of weeks at least, and then I'll get back into something.
Trevor, the blow torch has been on you personally for some time now. I'd be interested to know how you're coping mentally. Has it taken its toll?
It does at times, Goss. Yeah, look, it's. I think everyone goes through it when, you're basically in the public arena. So it does take its toll at times, and fortunately, I've got a lot of people around me, a lot of staff in this room who I can talk to, a lot of mentors, a lot of people in media who give me advice on different things, which is great. And a lot are in this room. So there are people to speak to, and I think if you take that, if you take it too personally in our industry, it's very hard to get through things. But no, I'm actually fine with how I've got through, and the blowtorch has been pretty hot at times, but it is what it is.
Trevor, what do you hope to get out of the remainder of your time with the club, and where do you hope the club will be when you do hand over the reins?
Well, I'm hoping we're winning a few more games, but again, as I said, we've got a lot of work to do there yet. That's not given, because this is a brutal industry. There's 18 clubs and they're all trying to win a game of footy. So we've got a lot of work to do, but it's a journey we're keen to continue on. I hope we're on the up by the time I've finished at the end of next year. I hope our AFLW team's doing better in the next few weeks, because the girls were devastated with their performance on the weekend. So there's a lot of things that we're looking forward to getting better at, and now we've got some new rules for our waffle team, so we're hopeful to get some players in to play for that team, to give us some some reassurance that we've always got a competitive team on the park. So that's on the field. Off field, I'd like to just make sure that all our staff are up and going and have the energy to improve our club.
Trevor, this might be a silly question, but will you remain on the board when you depart as CEO, or are those two roles linked?
No, I won't. When the new CEO is appointed, I'll step off from the board, but the new CEO won't be on the board. So Paul will have a job with the rest of the board members, probably looking for another board member.
Will you personally be involved in actually choosing the successor?
No, I won't.
So Niz, you're super confident the club can bounce back on field pretty quickly. Can you put a number of years on it in terms of challenging for finals, that sort of thing? Are you in that position now?
No one's in that position. I don't think anyone can answer that. I think what we have to do is continually update people on where we think we're at. And I think, Adam speaks to the media every week, 4 times a week. And I guess the thing for us we're looking for is growth in our young players, our first to third years, and we'll have another 5 come in this year. Those young players, we're looking for growth, and we're looking for better performance from them as well. So with that natural growth, hopefully we'll get some wins on the board.
As for the decision to stay, to leave, did that impact the club's decision to retain?
No, they're not linked. They've never been linked, even though it's seen to be linked at times. They're not linked. My time's now, so it's time to go. And when we get the next CEO in, hopefully that person will help us with the trajectory we want with our wins on field, and that's obviously why we're here.
Is Main Commercial thinking about moving on?
I think it will in time, when I get to start to talk to staff and people who've made a massive contribution to our club, both past and present. We've got so many players who've contributed to the club, but we've got so many board members, staff members, our fans. I mean, you talk about dedication to a football club. I mean, they're unbelievable. 103,000 members this year in one of our worst performances on field. But I think most of them can see that we've got a track we're going down, and hopefully they'll stay the journey, and that's what we'll be aiming for.
What legacy do you hope to leave with accomplishments, but how do you hope to leave it?
Well, I guess that's hard to say, but I would hope that the legacy of commitment, loyalty, they're the sorts of things that I think are really important to me. If you're not committed and you're not fully engaged and you're not fully committed to the cause, you probably shouldn't work at the footy club. It's a club built on that, and I think we need everyone fully committed if we're going to succeed. And in the past, our people have always been.